Welcome back. Just let's see what the... Oh, they're going to attack us. Well, that saves me time. We're really jumping right back into it here. I think the hostile red AI is just... They just straight up attack no matter what. Like, they don't actually care about winning. That seems to be the case anyways, in my experience. No, I think I almost... Yeah, I think I'd prefer... something like that, and then the poison knowledge will really help here, because they don't like dealing with poison. Oh, there's so many of them. So I can do a decent amount of damage there. I think another one more moving target for the moment. For this Griffin. Then they can guard that flank. And then... this is probably fine. I've got Sundern there to handle it, so I think Ice Elemental is more valuable over here. Frost Elemental. More valuable over there. Yeah, that felt like the right choice. There's so many of them. On the plus side... What's the range here? Can't quite reach. Those two... Ah, there's a swordsman down there. I couldn't see him. And... Okay, so that spell wore off. I think I still risk the eagle here. The griffin. And then... Pikeman, not really a problem. Storm Sisters, a bit more of a problem. Starts taking them out. And then... the Storm Sisters are a bigger issue than all the other units. And this is going to be easy with the moving target, so that's going to be fine. The longbows are going to be a bit annoying, so I'll send out the Frost Elemental to go deal with them. I am worried about this Griffin here still. Especially if they start doing that. Sneaking up the walls everywhere. Let's see. I think you can clean up quite a few of these. Yeah. Now, the Union Guard are one of the bigger threats to my Griffin Rider. So I'm not going to... Yeah, so now I don't have to worry about them. I can send the Griffin Rider down. Take care of these. Then... Initiates... I guess they're annoying enough to deal with. I can finish off these Storm Sisters. Those guys are coming over the wall. They might take out my Storm Sisters. Yeah. That's those taken care of. And then my Union Guard stand by. And I think the Griffin's got this. Nice. And then I'd like, I guess, my other Griffin to get the experience here. And then I just have to hit these guys. There we go. I I think the giant firebomb should damage walls if the draconian one does. So I was going through the mod files and I discovered that I can actually stop the AI from making the triple like the trebuchet armada if I want to, but instead I tried to tweak the values to see if I can make them use it less because you can choose how often they build it. But it was already set to lowest. So instead I told the AI, hey, this thing sucks, don't bother building it, and I'll see if that works. The downside with that is now if you attack a trebuchet armada, it might be like, oh yeah, you got this, no problem, even though they're very dangerous. But I think that you know, it's helpful to have that very likely, probable, whatever, but that's up to you in the end, not the computer to make that choice. And it's meant to give you an auto combat idea, but I think the auto combat, because it doesn't let you redo the fight, you should only use if you yourself say, oh yeah, this is overwhelming and I couldn't lose a single unit here. Bit of a rough fight because of my health. If I was full health, this would be easy, but... And yeah, I guess the moving target doesn't actually help that much because the Shadow Stalker doesn't really do physical damage in the first place. Knight can't reach. The priest is a bit of a problem. The Storm Sister... Well, the Storm Sister is a mixed bag because she can do the damage, but the Shadow Stalker... Yeah, the Shadow Stalker won't really care about whatever damage she ends up doing to me. And so it can just float through and backstab him. Yeah, this is not going to be a pretty fight. Okay. That was something. Good, bad, couldn't quite say. But, do you have a chance to stun? You do. Okay. It's worth going for. I could try to... let's see. Takes care of that. Okay, so I could mind control these knights, theoretically. What do the odds on that look like? 25%? Nice. Okay. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Okay, they even used Warcry there, so that was a really good outcome for me. Now you can finish off those priests. You guys want to get a couple hits in to begin with. Griffin, if you want to... How do I want to do it? Like this, I think. So they'll be unfrozen next turn. And you are... Okay, I think it's worth doing this. We'll see what the spell is. Yeah, okay, that probably wasn't worth it. In retrospect, because now I don't get the knight. Yeah. And they're only stunned for a turn. Means they can hit me next turn. On the plus side, they've burned through a lot of spell power doing all this. Yeah, I don't think that was worth it for... Oh yeah, they were bringing in a lot of reinforcements there. If I do this, who's in the fight? Okay. Then I've been thinking... I've been toying with this kind of a weird idea, maybe, but, you know, in regards to different kinds of video games, like roguelikes, for example. And by roguelikes, well, I guess I mean all roguelikes, but I in particular, I mean the original roguelikes, like actual roguelikes, like Rogue and Adam and Tales of Maj'El, those sort of games. Well, when you lose, you lose. You have to accept your losses, right? You know, there's been times in my life where either not taking advantage of events or I have done the wrong thing. Like, everyone's done that. You know, for instance, there's been many times in my life where there has been women interested in me and I've not noticed at all in the slightest. And then when I realize that I'm like, oh, I like this person, you know, it's far too late. It's far too late. And it leads to, you know, it's like, oh man, I wish I could go back in time and deal with these, and they can become regrets, right? You think about it like, oh man, if only I'd done this, if only I'd done that. Why didn't I take that job opportunity? Why didn't I phone that person on this day? Why did I phone that person on this day? You know, because it's never just as easy as I'll always do this, right? It's always individual to each specific event. So it's not healthy really to dwell on regrets too much. You know, you have to move on. The only way for your life to improve is to accept where you're at and then move on from that point. When you don't accept things, you don't accept things, and so you go, oh, I wish I could change that, and so your life becomes dedicated to this sort of undoing, which is an aspect of OCD, where you try to undo, try again and again to undo. You know, if I tap this doorway 3 times, then I'll have never gotten that fight, and I would still have this friend or whatever it might be. And you know, you could rebuild that relationship maybe if you instead focus on the here and now and improving yourself to be the kind of person that wouldn't get in that fight, and maybe that friend would want to be around, or maybe the kind of person that doesn't want that kind of friend in the first place, whatever the case may be. And games, you know, you can, like, I can right now, so I can just save game right now like that, and then I can do a big fight, and if I lose, I can reload. I don't like blaming external sources for problems, right? Because well, it takes, even if it's true, it takes away the power from the individual to help themselves. It's better to say, yeah, I have responsibility for this. As in, I am able to respond. It doesn't mean it's your fault, but, you know, at the very least you can do something about it, because otherwise you're powerless. That said, I wonder if you can say, okay, those girls that would have, you know, then it could have been the high school sweetheart or the elementary school sweetheart or whatever it might be in that case. And you say, wow, I totally, there's no coming back from this. I can no longer live the life I was meant to live. And, you know, the life I was meant to live was the one where I had all my amazing tier 3s evolving into tier 4s with Trismegistus, and they were unkillable. And I had 30 gold per turn, and I was crushing Sundred. I was crushing Isabel. But I decided to keep playing on because, well, that's the rules I'm playing under. And I wonder if the willingness to do that allows you to have, well, like, okay, I could have reloaded and then I'd have all those things, and wouldn't that be great? But I can't reload in real life. And because I can't reload in real life, I like to think everything's transferable. This is an idea, you know, I haven't properly phrased. I'm working it out here right now. That's why I'm bringing it up, really. I wonder if the ability to save scum, save, reload, that sort of thing, weakens your ability to accept some things cannot be changed and that you have made mistakes and there's no coming back from them. But also because when you play roguelikes and you play games like this where you don't reload all the time. Now, I do reload occasionally, and I have been reloading a lot this playthrough. But when you don't reload, you also do tend to learn faster in a few, like, you tend to learn different lessons. It's not just learn faster. I don't think that's quite right. You learn different lessons. You learn lessons like, I shouldn't do the YOLO strat against the gold dragon because then I might lose everything, right? And in real life, you hopefully learn actions have consequences, and never say a word idly when you can't. Doesn't necessarily mean overthink everything, but it's more, don't just go and punch someone, call someone a jerk, call someone a coward. There's some words which are harsher than others, and it depends on the person as well. Like for me, well, cowardice is a strange one because I don't like being called a coward, but on the other hand, it's one of those terms where does it hurt unless you have actually been a coward, right? Like maybe you don't like that people are calling you out. It's kind of a tricky one. But I certainly don't like being called to have acted in bad faith, even if I am imperfect or imprecise or whatever else the case may be. But yeah, because I'm doing a second playthrough right now. I think I've talked about it. Testing some stuff and fixing up some mod stuff behind the scenes, which we might see actually in this playthrough, because it turns out I had a whole bunch of stuff that was finished but not hooked up to everything else, and I did that, and we'll see if it shows up, I guess. In that playthrough, I actually had quite a bad setback, and so I did reload because I liked where I was going, and I'd messed up, and I didn't want to fall into the trap. But I didn't want to fall into the trap of never playing because the thing was I messed up because I wasn't feeling my best, and that's an excuse, but sure, I was feeling pretty bad that day, but so bad I didn't realize that I wasn't thinking straight, basically, and I lost. But it's like, do I only want to be able to play games when I'm at my top, or do I want to be, you know, doing stuff like working or writing or whatever else when I'm at my best? And games should be for relaxing, so it seems kind of weird to, you know, accept punishment for trying to relax. So there is that aspect there too. It could be that the video games are fine, right? You're trying to relax, whatever, it's fine. But it could be that you gain something you gain a resilience in other aspects of your life by learning to live with your mistakes, by learning to accept that you can be wrong, that you do make mistakes, that you are imperfect, and maybe playing roguelikes, playing games like this without reloading and accepting your Rimworld, they say accept your failures because it's a story generator, and the best stories are that it return from disaster, the triumph after disaster. It's not about punishing yourself. It's actually about like, look, if you lose everything, then it's like, oh yeah, sure, reload because you've lost everything. But learning that you haven't lost everything and that you can come back from things that you think are uncomebackable, I think that's an important aspect. And also that, to be cautious. The Red Baron, the bloody like the World War I fighter pilot, he wasn't some you might think, okay, he's possibly the best dog fighter that ever lived, so he must have been some sort of hardcore superhero type where you watch him in a fight, he goes into a group of 10 other fighter jets, and or well, not fighter jets, but he goes into a group of 10 other jets and guns blazing, and he takes them all out, and he dodges every bullet somehow, and he's magical. But actually, the reason he was so successful was he was very, very cautious. He would avoid conflict where he thought he didn't have a 100% chance of winning, and he would only attack from behind, and he'd only attack people that were alone and away from the group. The reason he died was actually because his brother had been shot down, and he chased after the guy that shot down his brother, so he broke his rule of always be cautious, and he ended up flying way out of a German airspace and getting shot by a anti-aircraft gun. But if he had been following his rules, and he had also, he'd received a couple injuries over the years, and so there's some theories that he might have been suffering from a little bit of brain damage, which was just making him behave slightly more rashly than he would otherwise. And he was quite young. I think he was 25 when he died, something like that. And so that's kind of weird, but I'm almost like defending him right now in that I think his caution would have been rewarded had he kept to it, and he couldn't, because we can't all be perfect all the time, and it also gets so, your brother gets shot down, and who's going to be acting in a calm, collected manner then, no matter how beneficial it might be. I was in severe pain for 4 years, and it's basically like my life was on pause in a lot of ways, because it was about getting to the next day. It wasn't about doing anything. It's like, oh, I'm going to achieve this. It's like the achievement was not giving up on life because I was in so much pain. The achievement was just make it to the next day, make it to the next day, make it to the next day. And it wasn't even the next day, right? You can't think in that. It's like the time unit you think in it's unbearable for any quantifiable amount of time. You can't make it to a second, but you can just hold on just that little bit, and then you can hold on just that little bit. It's kind of like being in a coma for 4 years because I was in so much pain I couldn't do anything. And it's hard to relate to, people say, oh, that was 4 years ago, that's so long ago. And it's like, to me, it's not that my memory is sharp and clear of that moment, but it's like nothing happened in between because I was just struggling through it. So, like Age of Wonders 4? What's Age of Wonders 4? Never heard of it, didn't come out yet. That sort of thing. I was a young man, and now I'm not. And those opportunities, this is where it ties back into what I was talking about before. The opportunities of a young man are no longer my opportunities, and if I pursue a young man's things, then I'm cool, right? And I'm not talking about being embarrassed about listening to fairy stories or whatever, as C.S. Lewis put it, right? It's more, right? You don't go for the entry job anymore now that you're so much older. It's like or dating. You don't go for the person that's just entering university. You go for the person that's graduating and is like a lawyer now or something, or close to becoming a judge even at my age, right? And it's like those aren't the people I relate with in a way because it's not the people I remember. In my mind, there was none of that time in between. There was no time spent in between, and it's hard to conceptualize that to anyone and be like, yeah, you say this is how things are XYZ, but I don't remember any of that. So these people, they talk about, oh, I'm just starting out in my career, I'm just starting out in dating, and it's like, okay, you're getting to the point where if you don't get married and have children soon, that it's the old joke of people I think experience this to a degree with the pandemic, right? You maybe miss out on a bunch of weddings if you're the right age when pandemic starts. You're like, oh yeah, people, they grow up, they go to weddings, and it's like, I didn't go to any weddings, or I didn't have a graduation ceremony, or I didn't have a high school graduation ceremony. And I think that's a similar experience, what I'm feeling, depending on where you were with the pandemic. And it makes you feel like you're disconnected from people that have had those experiences. And mine was on maybe a slightly longer scale than the pandemic, but very similar sort of idea, I guess. It's not a contest, at all either. I don't want to be the winner if it was. So the question is, okay, so do you just So do I then put on a young man's clothes and, try dating like 18-year-olds and go for all the, student jobs and entry-level things, listen to loud metal music, rebel against the system, all those sort of things? Or do I say, okay, I missed those years. I'm never going to get them. I didn't get them. I'm not getting them back. And now what does a middle-aged person do? And just start doing that. And I think that is the only solution. But it's a very hard thing to do, to say, okay, I only have one life, and I will never have a life where I was a young man. And so how do I go on? What do I do now? And I don't really know the answer to that, because it's a very hard thing to do. But I think the answer is something similar, in a strange way, to how do I go on after Trismegistus lost to the Gold Dragon? And I think they might be the same answer. And yeah, what do you do when you made the wrong choice to defend the city that now has betrayed you? Similar thought again, I think. The answer is you do the best you can, and the only way you're going to make the best decisions is if you accept where you're at. Because if you can't even say where you are, it's like, how do you choose where you're going? When you're if you're doing like orienteering or something, first thing you got to do is figure out, well, unless you see a mountain, you're like, hey, I know that mountain is this, but you can use that mountain then to find yourself, and then say, okay, I want to get to this. Unless you want to go to the mountain, you still need to figure out where you are. And yeah, those swordsmen are a problem, but those are a bigger problem, I think. Fire giant back, that would be nice. I've considered adding stuff like every time you're seduced, you gain +1 resistance. Okay, I get lucky again. I don't kill them this time, but that's fine. What's the biggest problem here? Probably the crows. That was still worth it, having them seduce my crows instead of my other units. Okay, we've got 1 seduction, 2 seductions left. And then we've got a giant army and an assassin. Okay. Actually expected to lose the Storm Sisters there, so that went a lot better than expected. That allows me to do this. Awesome. Okay, and you can take care of those. Now, these need to die. Okay. This gets a little bit tricky. It doesn't do much damage. So if I go for this attack, problem is the Frost Elemental might actually die. We've got a Succubus here who can still be succubizing as well. On the plus side, whatever it takes over, I can break the control from, but if it takes over the Storm Sisters, then the Storm Sisters will probably lightning touch whoever's standing next to my giants, I guess, in that case. But these need to die. I do that. 3, 4, hardly anything. Quick dash. These, get them around. Quick dash, yeah, okay. I think it has to be these. To have a chance to do it. No, not quite. Moving forward 1 space so that they can't stun the giants if they get seduced. 9 times 3 is 27. I have a pretty high chance to just freeze these solid. What happens though is I freeze them solid, they don't die. The griffins then kill my ice elementals. I don't think I have a choice. Oh, but I have a chance to kill these now. That makes it almost worse, because everyone's gone, right? Except my giant? Yeah. Move these back to here, so they can't be seduced. And then... Okay, these are frozen, though, so there's that. Okay, awesome. Okay. I didn't know you could freeze a machine. I guess that makes sense. These Storm Sisters... MVPs. They have been keeping everything together. Okay, this is a chance to kill them. Doesn't kill them. Right, my friendly giant friend. Actually, let's see. Okay, healing is no longer an option. Okay. I think I'm losing the Storm Sisters. Which sucks, because holy cow, they have been absolute beasts. They've been doing amazing work. Okay, those assassins, bit of a problem. Wanna see if you can convince them to not do stuff? No. Bad luck again. Yeah. Lost them both. Gotta bless. That's about it. You can dash out of there if I want you to, which I think I do. Is that a kill? That is not a kill. Let's get them bleeding. Get them smacked. Okay, so if I attack the assassins, I get attacked by the longbows. If I attack the longbows, I get attacked by the assassins. But I have a chance to kill the longbows. I think I lose the Griffin Riders. Less. Okay. Happy with that choice by the AI there. You take out those. You can probably do a number on that. Yeah. And then... fail that, I have a Succubi on a 6-turn cooldown. You would just... well, I was going to put you to safety, but my opponent still might have spells, and she might just free them from control. I'll lose my griffins. Yeah, you've got that. Thank you. And then you can deal with those guys. You can just go somewhere hopefully safe. And then Thundering can come in, help with that battering ram. Lost a lot of good troops here. Well, two good troops, but they were two very good troops. Hopefully. AI isn't a cheater. The nice thing about Trismegistus is even if I lose my really awesome troops here, they're not gone forever. Now, Trismegistus does have some pretty good range attacks, so he gets in there. I think he does good damage to these assassins, to these Shadowstalkers. And also my army isn't miserable right now, which is nice. These guys should have, like, Freezing Strike. Well, no, that would be overpowered. They do get Inflict Freezing Cold, I guess. But let's go for the... Might as well start smacking, I guess. And you can't get in. Now, the nice thing is Isabel is out of spellcasting right now. So I don't have to be concerned about that. So I can do something like give Instant Wrath to someone just give it to my tankiest unit I can. Man, I hate these things. Okay. There. I think the shock troopers deal with what they can deal with. And then... yeah, we get rid of all the problems that my troops are designed for. And then... actually, I can bring their troops on my side, I guess. Yeah, I can turn this battle around. The scary thing here is that the Shadowstalkers don't really have a reason... oh, I have an army. Would you look at that? But yeah, the Shadowstalkers don't really have a reason to care about engagement, because I do so little damage to them. Even if they just walk out of this mess. So Trismegistus isn't safe standing anywhere near them. I'm telling you, Spearmen, they're scary. Tier 3. Then... yeah, I can't web them. Do the old... two... back to the flank on you. 1, 2... we go for a flank on you. And then we go for... and then... gives us another flank. And... that will not flank. Might have been able to go for the kill there. Let's see what happens with him. Far so good. Why did they take a bunch of damage? Did they have a... maybe I didn't. Maybe I just thought. I think I thought that the damage to the spider happened to the griffin. And what else did they have on them that I might want? Razorbro, Orc Assassin. I could do... think now... wait. I'm gonna try not to kill them just yet. Yeah, okay. So let's see who I get. Do I get the crow? I get the assassin. Nice. Okay. My assassin, but hey. I don't want him to die. Then who wants the X? I think the... you already leveled up once, but you can be close to the next level. Oh yeah, I guess, I said I did the artwork ahead of time for the Griffin Rider. None of the Legendary Unit artwork is done at the start of this playthrough, and I'm doing it as I think I'm about to unlock them. I think I was on top of it for all of them except that one. I forgot to hook it up right. Okay, so we lost a Spearman, which sucks. We gained a Knight, which doesn't suck. I think you're supposed to move like really fast up through here and then you get a big army. That's probably, like my last mission I said was way too easy. This is probably the equivalent of if in the last mission all those goblins had been conquered by the AI before I had gotten to them. I'm probably supposed to have a bunch of, like, I'm supposed to have 50% of the cities on the map. But instead I went this way where there's nothing. I'm sort of clawing back, but my troops were of a much higher quality, so... I didn't lose my giants, though. If I lost my giants, that's a different story. But as long as the giants live, it doesn't really matter what I lose. Okay, so I really want to charge in here and take out like another succubus. There's a shadow stalker over there as well. Doable, maybe? Do a sort of Hannibal and let my center collapse so that he ends up surrounded. Of course, Hannibal didn't have to deal with the fireballs, as far as I'm aware. I think the Feast for Crow abilities, it's cool, but it's like, is it needed? Especially on the Shadow Stalker? Because they already are horrible, invisible assassins. They don't need to be able to summon units to their aid as well. Maybe a power to give to a hero or something. Something. Now they go and kill one of my units. Oh, they didn't. I can work with this. See that? I didn't even press the wrong button. And I get another flank. Is it worth it? No, I think I keep the sprint for when I need it. If I had used the sprint, I wouldn't have lost that unit, because I would have moved closer. That's one less Shadow Stalk. Sure, I'll fight it, I guess. I don't know if there'll be much for me to do. You're gonna stand there against a unit with an area of effect attack? I don't think my allies are the brightest. I was kind of hoping I'd get control of them, but it doesn't appear to be the case. Could you guys actually, I don't know, stay back from the fight, maybe? Maybe if I lure them past these guys, they can get some flanks off. Yeah, that's it. Go for the. No. Just go straight in. Go straight in with the war cry. Don't bother with those spears. War cry all the way. You can easily win this. Just hit him with it. Yeah. Come on, you still got this. You still got this. Just war cry. Okay, no problem. Easy. You had gone in earlier. Oh, okay. No, I don't think you're making it. Unless... Come on, come on. Live, live. Yes, yes. Okay, come on. Get lucky. Critical, critical. Yes! That's what I like to see. What great allies. I really want to go in here and just start cleaning this up, but just looking at the time, I should probably wrap it up there. So next time, something to look forward to. Take care.